Hi, let's now look at Chapter 6 on judges. In this chapter, we'll address judicial selection, appointment of federal judges, judicial elections, merit selection. We'll ask the question, which selection system is best, and we'll look at how judges work and judging the judges. What is a good judge? Well, there's no agreed upon set of criteria that makes up the personality of a good judge. Judges are expected to be fair and honest, patient and wise, and have wisdom to apply the law. But they are also expected to be good managers, keeping the docket moving and organized. What do you think are the characteristics of a good judge? Who should select judges? There's no consensus on whom we should trust to select judges. The choice includes lawyers or elected officials or the voters. A case can be made for and against each one of these. Because of the disagreements about who should select judges, judicial selection is a highly unstructured process that includes many different actors depending on the jurisdiction. What about judicial independence versus political accountability? Judicial independence is viewed as vital for neutral and impartial decision-making, but elections are viewed by many as the best method of guaranteeing the popular accountability of judicial policy makers. A tension is created between judicial independence and accountability. Judges typically enjoy longer terms than elected officials. There are varying roads to a judgeship. Three principal methods of judicial selection are used in the United States: appointment, election, and merit selection. Political geography matters in which road is used in any given jurisdiction. But the reality is that one of these three methods is the primary means in the United States. Let's think about appointment of federal judges. That's determined by the United States Constitution. They are to be nominated by the President of the United States, confirmed by the Senate of the United States, and served during good behavior, which is another way of saying for life. The process appears simple, but it's complex and very political. It varies by the level of court, district, circuit, or Supreme Court. The President has considerable power. Only the President can nominate. Vacant judgeships are highly valued. Present opportunities to pursue political objectives, they present opportunities to pursue political objectives, and they reward party faithful. However, the President has very little control over when vacancies will occur. Lifetime appointments and Congress rarely authorize additional judgeships. Historically, the Senate has played a greater role in the confirmation process, even suggesting nominees. The home state senator had to approve of the nomination as a senatorial courtesy. Today, the role of the Senate is diminished. Observers agree that there is less consultation and there has been a decline in senatorial courtesy. Why is it there's been a demise of senatorial courtesy? Well, the Senate is granted the power of advice and consent in the confirmation of judges. Senatorial courtesy is the unwritten tradition whereby presidents allow senators to be consulted before the president nominates a person to a federal judicial vacancy in their state. A senator from the president's party could place a hold on the nominee, preventing their consideration. The influence of senatorial courtesy has been diminished in recent years, and its impact varies depending on the political party of the president and senators. Senators of the same party have more influence. The level of the court also determines the impact. Senators have more influence at the district court level and less at the circuit court level, and virtually no impact on the selection of Supreme Court nominees. Interest group involvement is also very common within judicial selections. The American Bar Association has historically been very influential. Recently, that influence has diminished. Interest groups focus on promoting possible nominees and influencing the confirmation process and votes of the senators. Federal judges have been selected based on presidential political goals since the beginning, really. Those selections have been made to reward the party faithful. So, for instance, Presidents Harding and Theodore Roosevelt have done that to reward party faithful. They've been selected based on the maximization of professionalism of the judiciary. They've been selected to influence public policy. And they've even been selected by modern presidents to clearly focus on the political nature of appointments. In just over 6 years, President Obama left his imprint on the federal judiciary. He appointed the most diverse judiciary ever. Over 50% of his district court nominations were women, and he has appointed the largest number of judges with a net worth of greater than $1 million. The Trump presidency, which is not in this slide deck, but the Trump presidency also left a huge mark on the federal judiciary, particularly by his appointment of 3 Supreme Court justices. That's almost unheard of in modern presidential history for a president to have 3 Supreme Court justices. Political scientists often study the background characteristics of appointed justices. There are some common characteristics regardless of the appointing president's party, and those appointed were typically members of the president's party. They had prior judicial or prosecutorial experience, and they were frequently involved in party politics. But there are many differences too. Recent presidents have appointed more women, and the net worth of nominees has steadily increased. Does it matter who gets appointed to the federal judiciary? Yes, of course. An impressive body of research demonstrates that judicial behavior is related to the president who made the appointment. For instance, President Bush's appointees were very conservative. The majority of state judges are initially selected or retain their position through elections. Election types include nonpartisan elections, partisan elections, which is what we have in the state of Texas, and retention elections. Judicial elections have traditionally been low-key, low visibility, and low turnout affairs. The result is that the public knows very little about judicial candidates at the state level. A poll found that just 13% of voters knew a great deal about judicial candidates at all. Table 6.2 shows how the initial selection of state judges, depending on what state and what kind of selection process there is. Few incumbent judges are challenged, and even fewer are voted out of office. But note that this is not terribly different from other political branches. So representatives in the United States House of Representatives are reelected at a 95% rate. However, changes in judicial elections are beginning to occur. Judicial elections are getting nastier, noisier, and costlier. Research is finding that money raised in judicial elections is more important to winning than other traditional factors such as partisanship or incumbency. An effort has been made to remove courts from politics, and so judicial reformers believe that elections discourage qualified lawyers from running. Popular elections suggest impropriety, and voters do not know how to choose among candidates. The proposal, therefore, is a merit selection, that is, a nonpartisan selection, or what has been proposed as the Missouri Bar Plan. Judicial nominating commissions recommend a list of qualified candidates to the governor. The governor makes a final selection, and then after a period of service, the judge faces a retention election. A retention election simply asks the voters, should Judge X remain in office, yes or no? The process is designed to reduce the influence of politics, but it has consequences. Retention elections are not without critics. Voters routinely return incumbent judges, although there are signs it's becoming slightly more competitive. To aid voters, states are creating judicial performance evaluation programs, and a growing number of states use some or all of the components of merit selection. Politics is still involved. Who makes it on the nominating committee, for instance? Who the governor chooses is another political question. So which system is best? There is a serious and important debate about how we should choose justices. Selection methods give heightened importance or diminish the role of certain political actors and voters. How do we evaluate the systems? Which system produces better judges? Is there a normative concept? We can ask who gets appointed and what do they do on the bench. Judges are more alike than different, regardless of selection method. Evidence points to changing trends, more women, less emphasis on former elected experience, and so on. But it's difficult to link these changes to any type of selection system. The judiciary has traditionally been white and male and Protestant, but this is changing. Presidents have been appointing more diverse judges. 37% of all federal judges can now be considered non-traditional. But there is far less diversity among state judges where women and minorities still lag. What exactly do trial judges do anyway? Trial judges serve as umpires. They're expected to be neutral. Judges exercise considerable discretion in their courts, and they help the parties negotiate the cases. They rarely write opinions, but they must be good administrators managing their dockets or the calendar of their cases. The benefits of being a judge is it's a high level of prestige and respect. You have certain control about patronage positions like bailiff, clerk, commissioner, reporter, assistant, and so on. Judicial salaries are higher than the national average, but salaries are a major source of controversy because many lawyers can make much more money in the private sector. Some of the frustrations of the job include often facing staggering caseloads. They also face pressure to move their dockets or move their cases along. Judges have limited control over the lawyers and over jails and over prosecutors, and some judicial positions have low prestige, like a criminal court judge. What should be done with unfit judges? Well, judicial misconduct can include many things. For example, corruption, taking bribes, but it can also be the result of old age or senility. Formal methods of removal include recall elections and impeachment. Table 6.1 shows some examples of judicial misconduct. State judicial court conduct commissions were created as an arm of the state's highest court, and they include judges and lawyers and prominent citizens to investigate judicial misconduct and make recommendations to the state Supreme Court or highest court of appeal. And they investigate in secret and often use informal pressure to get judges off the bench without resorting to public disclosure. The Federal Conduct and Disability Act established formal procedures for acting on complaints of misconduct by federal judges. Initially heard by judicial councils, it sends a report to the Judicial Conference, which can recommend impeachment to the U.S. House of Representatives. Since 1803, only 5 judges have been formally removed from the bench. That is astonishingly low. Resignations, however, are far more likely a result of misconduct investigations. So in conclusion, there is considerable debate about whether judges should be elected or appointed. Judges are selected both ways. Judges are more alike than different regardless of the system, and interest groups are playing an increasing role on the selection process. Elections are becoming much more competitive and expensive in judicial campaigns.